afternoon, good evening, good morning, wherever you may be. Welcome to the show. This is the Hit the Pick Founders Show. We do it every Wednesday, 6 p.m. Eastern, 5 p.m. Central Time. I'm your host, Scott the Steamroller Steen. And as always, we are brought to you by hitthepick.com. Hitthepick.com, your number one go-to site for all things sports betting related. Get yourself over there and check out some of the great football packages we have put together with 5 of the best handicappers anywhere that you will find. So we have a very, very special guest today. He's so special, I'm going to get to him before I get to everybody else. Everybody else, you've seen him before. Yeah, whatever. This man is an absolute legend. If you know anything about sports, if you know anything about sports betting, you've likely come across his name. We are delighted and honored to have him here. It is Ron Ace. Ron, what's up today, my friend? How are you?
Well, first of all, thanks for having me on the show. Brainstorming football, that's what it's all about. And now we get to brainstorm about games that are 72 hours away. All the work that some of us do in the spring and the summer, we finally get to see it being kicked off. And that's the most exciting thing of all.
I'm excited to see that as well. We've got a pretty good week 0, which I couldn't hate that more. So, by the way, go ahead and take a shot, because you're going to have to do that every time you hear me say how much I hate week 0. So we'll just start it off here early today. All right, let's meet the rest of our panel. We're a man down. That's all right. I'll take this trade any day. It's Las Vegas's favorite closet sports gambler. It's the one, the only. Are you missing LA yet, buddy?
A little bit. It's, I thought the weather was going to be the worst thing about, the 110-degree weather every day, but it really hasn't been that bad. It's just such a dry heat. It's not terrible.
Do you get out on the 5 every day about 5 o'clock just because you're missing the traffic of LA?
Well, I guess it would be the 15 here.
Or the 15, sorry, really. Yeah, absolutely. It's Sniper West, everybody. It was that was a muddled intro. Sorry, I started asking questions before I actually said who you were. So
you know what's funny? The schedule. So I don't know why. I don't know if college football does not want to compete with preseason NFL football. Why is there only games on Saturday? Because they could have had games Sunday. They could have had games on like Monday. Well, maybe preseason actually might have a Monday Night Football. But why only Saturday? They could have maybe spread it out and had some more games. That was my opinion. It was my first thought when I saw the schedule.
Yeah, that's a great question, because there's no NFL games on Sunday. Everything is played Thursday, Friday, Saturday, and then they're done as they gear up for the regular season. So, let's turn to a man that can maybe answer that question for us. He has a bag full of answers at every opportunity. It's Philly's favorite son. It's Tom Macrina, a.k.a. Rye Cape. What up, Rye?
Yeah, not too much. Yeah, I don't know why any sports schedules the way they do schedule. But I'm happy to have some games on Saturday from noon. I guess we'll be ending around 10 o'clock Eastern time.
Yes, sir.
But yeah, I'm ready to go.
Very good. And, I've talked to you about cheesesteaks in Philly. Have you ever done the Rocky Steps?
Of course I have. I mean, it's been a while, but yes.
Did you run up them?
Everybody does it. Yes, of course I have.
Okay. All right. Sorry, man.
Yeah.
Did you raise your hands at the top like this, like the statue?
He did. See, not even I would ask that question. If you made it all the way to the top, absolutely.
It's not that bad.
You get me running up those steps, the only thing I'm going to be saying is clear as they put the paddles on me. So, and now, last but not least, this man he's just an incredible multi-sport handicapper. I don't know what he's hot in right now. Probably everything he touches. Probably been killing it in preseason football, baseball, and WNBA, Little League. Are you betting on it's David Delano. You been betting on the Little League, buddy?
No, I haven't been betting on the Little League. I mean, when you have a kid that's playing sports, I don't know if that's something I want to dabble into. I don't want to mess up his future before it gets started. So no Little League betting for me.
I want to tell you a story I heard yesterday. I think the kid pitches for South Carolina. He had pitched a complete game no-hitter, struck out 11, and threw 12 balls over 6 innings. So, yeah. Muddle on that for a moment. But
I draw the line at Little League. No Little League.
Well, okay. Man's got to have standards. Very good. Anybody else made a little league bet, Wes?
No, you cannot make that. Nobody can make a little league bet. Are there
What?
lines anywhere? No.
Yes, there are.
What?
Just hop in your boat. Hop in your boat. Go 3 miles offshore, Tom. You'll find them. There's all kinds of offshore bets.
All right. Yeah, I haven't really looked at it, but
very good.
I just
all
assumed.
Right. All right, so let's on to more serious things. We talked about it a little bit. There's what have we got? A 5-card slate on Saturday, starting off with Farmageddon, Dublin style, as Iowa State and Kansas State get together. Ron, do you want to talk about that game, or what else are you looking at on Saturday for college-wise? What are you thinking? What are you zeroed in on there?
Well, that particular game, it's not just the kickoff of the first game of the season, but it's a mighty important game for a league that probably will end up with about 12 tiebreakers at the end of November, because you could put the teams into a hat. So the loser of this game immediately falls behind a lot of contenders. And I don't know why they bring a divisional, conference matchup across the pond and so on, but at least it's intriguing for the fans. I kind of like the matchup. 2 good coaches, 2 good programs, 2 teams that have really been ascending. I personally favor Kansas State because I see more year-to-year continuity out of that program. There's been a little bit more of a dip for Iowa State when expectations get a little bit too high for them. Then they go back and drop down a little bit to their level. I think it'll be a relatively close game, and an exciting game, but I like the continuity of Kansas State a little bit more from a team perspective.
Are you an Avery Johnson fan? Do you think the best is yet to come for him, or has he pretty much reached his ceiling so far?
I think it's situational dependent. When he faces a team that can shut him down in one area or the other, then I think there's a problem. I think if he had to rely solely on passing, that would probably be a problem. There's a ceiling, and it might be a lower ceiling. But against a team at Iowa State that gave up a lot of yards via the rush, unusually last year, if they can't get back at it, that puts that dynamic run-pass option back in Avery Johnson's clipboard there, and it makes him more valuable. So it really depends on the team that he's playing. Overall, I don't see an NFL talent there, but I see a certainly bowl-worthy and contender-worthy college team talent.
Very good. And I want to make a small correction here before I go on much further. Last week we talked about Kansas State's schedule, and I said that they played one more conference game than everybody else. My son reminded me that Arizona is not officially a conference game. That is a home and home series that was set before Arizona joined the Big 12. So even though Arizona is in the Big 12, that is not thought of as a conference game. So they are playing quote unquote 3 non-conference games in North Dakota, Army, and Arizona. So I just wanted to get that out of the way before everybody started writing in complaining. So there you go. Wes, how do you see this one?
Well, Iowa State, they had 11 wins last year, and obviously Rocco Beck. I don't know if you're a fan of Rocco Beck or not. I don't know if you remember his father was an NFL tight end, Anthony Beck. I don't know if you guys remember that or not.
Mm-hmm.
He had 138 passer rating, 3,500 yards, 25 TDs, 9 interceptions. So his numbers were pretty good. A lot of people were down on him, but I think he's a decent quarterback. But if you remember that game versus Iowa last year, the Iowa State-Iowa game, they did not play well. The Cyclones did not play well in the first half at all. And he brought them back, and they actually won that game. So he does know how to deal with adversity very well. I wish I had 3.5 on this game. I think this game did hit 3.5 at one point because I like Iowa State. I'm going to take the points and put them in my back pocket just because I think Iowa State can win this game outright. I wish I had the 3.5, but I missed it. But, Avery Johnson, he's a fantastic quarterback. He's a team captain now, by the way. I don't know if you knew that or not, but 2,700 yards last year, 25 TDs, 10 picks, a QBR of 69. So Iowa State does need to contain him. If you remember last year, the Cyclones did win this game 29-21. So Kansas State, maybe they do have some revenge here. But like I said, neutral field, proven quarterback. I do like Rocco Beck. I think he's a good quarterback. And I would take the 3, put him in my back pocket if I was going to play this game.
Very good. Tom, you taking the 3?
When I saw, I'm like Wes. If I did see on the 3.5, but I didn't take it. But yes, I would have took the 3.5. I kind of feel like it's going to be a field goal game. What I'm looking at more is an offensive game. I like the over here. We haven't seen much movement. Market, I guess, agrees a little bit. It's moved like a half point, a full point. But, I'm an Avery Johnson believer. I think this offense is going to be good. I think Kansas State is coached well. I like the over for this one.
All right, very good. David, we have a diversity of opinion on this game. What say you, sir?
Yeah, I'm not sure if I'm going to get involved or not. I'm planning on it. I haven't officially bet any of these games for this weekend yet, but I'm looking at it. I was looking at what Iowa State was at plus 3.5. I'll wait a little bit, but I'm leaning Iowa State on this one. I mean, I think that this is one of those matchups. I mean, both of these teams compared to the portal, I mean, both teams have their quarterback back. Both teams have a decent amount of starters back. I like Matt Campbell, and I think that even at the 3 neutral site overseas first game of the season, it's a lot of pressure to wonder how both of these teams are going to respond. So many question marks. I think getting the 3 points with Iowa State as the dog right now is the way that I'm leaning. I haven't officially played it yet, but right now I'm leaning toward Iowa State.
Okay, very good. Ron, we got 4 other games on the card. What else has your attention this Saturday?
Well, not much else because I haven't really pulled the trigger other than an early play because I set my power ratings originally 2 months ago, and at the time, Hawaii was a dog. And it's really put up or shut up time for Hawaii because Stanford's the team that they change conferences. They went all the way to the East Coast for some of their games. Now they're going even further west. Now they had to fire their coach. They bring in an interim coach for this year, Frank Wright. They have Andrew Luck as coordinator. There are a lot of changes going on at Stanford. There's not that many changes in Hawaii. The question is the coaching staff good enough? It's really put up or shut up time. And if Hawaii can't get it done week 1, I would be disappointed. I think Hawaii should win this game. That's probably the one I'm looking at from a gambling standpoint. However, I do like both Kansas and Fresno State. They're playing each other, of course, but I'm curious to see what the new staff brings for Fresno State. They're highly regarded, and I think they could be a sleeper in the Mountain West. And Kansas missed a bowl game last year, but they too have a very good coach. If they can get that defense to even average levels, I think Kansas could be dangerous. I'm excited for the trio of games, these 3 games, because I think we learn a lot from them, even if we're not betting on them.
All right, very good. Yeah, and they've got Kansas is opening their brand new stadium. Well, the revamped stadium there in Lawrence. They've been working on that for almost 2 years. So, and they get Jalen Daniels back for another year. What's your take on Jalen Daniels, Ron? Is he a legit college quarterback, or could they do better at that position?
I think he's legit. I think he fits the system pretty well. I don't think offensive points I know they've changed. What is it? Their 3rd offensive coordinator in as many years.
Right.
So, that's hard on a young quarterback, but I think he works well with the system that the head coach, Leopold, wants to put in place. So I like him as a college quarterback.
All right, very good. And of course, they've got Devin Neal back for another year. Good, solid running back there for KU. At 12.5, that's a tough mountain to climb. Wes, you climbing that mountain?
Yeah, I mean, obviously it's week 0 is the first game of the season for Kansas, so they're going to want to make a statement here. What I find interesting, so obviously Matt Entz, he's the new Fresno State head coach. He was the head coach of North Dakota State, obviously an FCS team, but they were a powerhouse. He coached them from 2019 to 2023. They did very well under him. Also, what I find interesting here, E.J. Warner he's going to be starting week 0 for Fresno State. He is the son of Kurt Warner, obviously the Hall of Fame quarterback. So he won a 3-man quarterback battle. But it's just a tough spot for them, man. They got to go on the road to Kansas, week 0, and it's just a lot of moving parts there, a lot of transition, so to speak. So I would probably lay it with Kansas here if I had to play. It's funny, the line hasn't moved. I looked at it a couple days ago. It's been 12.5, and it has not moved any direction. So it's probably right where it needs to be. But if I had to take a side, I'd take Kansas here.
All right, very good. Anything else on the card got your attention?
Well, yeah, you know what? UNLV is right here in my backyard, right? So, Dan Mullen, he is the new head coach for UNLV, obviously former SEC head coach from Florida. So they're going to want to make a statement here, but he's going to want to establish the run game, in my opinion. I don't know who he's going to start at quarterback. I was trying to read some articles and find out. I don't know if any of you know whether Calandria or Alex Orji is starting. Either way, I'd probably still lay it with UNLV. The problem is I got 24.5 about a week ago, and now it's minus 26.5. So if anybody wants to play that, they kind of lost some value there. But Ron would like this. The one thing that would maybe lean toward Idaho State is no more James Shebest as the special teams coordinator for UNLV. He went to Purdue. And Ron was just talking about that on Kiev's show. But he's one of the best special teams coordinators in all of college football, which Ron pointed out to Kiev and myself. So, but it is a statement spot for Dan Mullen, and I think the Rebels should roll. The last thing Dan Mullen wants to do is beat Idaho State by 13 points. It's just not a good look. He's got to come out and, have his team running. The running Rebels, right? So I'd probably lay it here. I did lay it at 24.5. It's got out of hand now. It's 26.5 at this point.
Am I crazy there looking at the under with that UNLV defense? They were pretty stout last season, especially against the run. Tom, you think there's value on playing the under 65.5? That is a hell of a high total.
Maybe I don't know. I kind of think this is going to be a blowout. So maybe UNLV goes over by themselves. You never know what happens at the end of some of these games. High total, you want to think to go high. The Hawaii game. I'm with Ron. I think this is a huge game for Timmy Chang. He's kind of a legend over there. What Hawaii was good at last season was being a strong home team. If they lose this one to, as Ron said, this Stanford team is full of issues. They really don't have the talent either. So, this is going to be a rough loss for Timmy Chang if they can't pull this one off. So I do like Hawaii.
Yeah, and that's the one where there's, like we said, we've seen the biggest line switch on that from Hawaii being a small dog to now being a small favorite at 2.5 points. Somebody knows something, so we'll see how that goes. David, what's your thoughts on the
real
Kansas
quick?
game?
I like Sam Houston too. They play. I forget who they play. Maybe
Western Kentucky.
Western Kentucky.
So I think they keep it in within double digits. The line's been moving toward Sam Houston State. I think their offense is going to be good. I think we're going to see a lot of good offenses in week 0.
Okay. All right. And Western Kentucky, a school that usually is not afraid to toss the ball around the yard there either. Yeah. So definitely could be seeing some points there. Dave, what do you have your eye on this weekend?
Yeah, I'm looking at Sam Houston too. I think that Sam Houston is really an interesting team. They don't have any starters back on defense, although that might not be the biggest deal today. But when you're looking at different power rankings and just different even odds and things, I think that the way that a lot of people have been viewing Sam Houston State is all over the place. I mean, I've seen people have them almost towards the bottom of the conference to even being a sleeper to possibly win it. So they're a team that I do like Sam Houston State in this spot against Western Kentucky, but they're also one of those teams that I wouldn't be surprised if they pulled off the outright upset, but then I also wouldn't be surprised if they lose by 3 touchdowns. I know that sounds crazy. They're a team that I think anything can happen, but right now I am leaning towards Sam Houston. And that total, I don't necessarily want to go with an under on a Western Kentucky game, but for the first week, there's still so much turnover on both rosters. At a total of 61.5, especially you're looking at a conference game, seems a little bit high to me there. As far as that, so I'm leaning on the under, but I do like Sam Houston plus the 10. That Stanford-Hawaii game, to go back to last season, but I know they won, but they didn't cover that first game of the season last year. Hawaii was playing Delaware State, where you really can't find, in FCS, FBS combined, it's hard to find too many programs worse than Delaware State. And I know that was last season, but they were so sluggish in that game. And I'm not sure right now, Hawaii's starting to seem a little bit of the trendy play, how people are turning around on Stanford, the line's moving. I don't think Stanford's going to be good, but I'm not so sure that I like them as I'm not so sure I like Hawaii now as the home favorite in that one. So maybe a little bit of a lean on Stanford. I'm not completely in love with it yet. I'm going to dive into these a little bit more, and probably by end of the day tomorrow, I'll have some final concrete decisions on these. And as far as we talked about that UNLV Idaho State game, sorry, I see what Thompson too that with that under there, because you kind of wonder, is UNLV gonna call off the dogs late? I mean, you got a total that high. I mean, they could win this game, 42-14, 42-13, and it still goes under the total. And I've got a little bit of a lean on Fresno State too, as an underdog there. It's hard not to, with the exception of Idaho State, it's hard for me not to lean towards the dogs in this week 0 right so far.
Okay. All right. Very good. Is there a philosophy behind that, or is that just how it shakes out this year?
Well, it's just college football. I think that there's so much assumptions going on both sides, because you got all these guys from the transfer portal and changes and different offensive coordinators, and really no matter how long you've been following college football, I feel like these last 3 years since COVID, it's really been a bit of a different animal early on in the season, and sometimes we're still all assuming how these pieces are going to fall into place. And due to that, a lot of the lines, I think, are going off of, past perception. I mean, Kansas, we've seen what they've done recently, although Fresno State's also a strong program, and we've seen them, go to Michigan last year and play tough. But, they got that perception, it's Kansas. And I think that, the Kansas State, Iowa State game, I think a lot of it, I think it's kind of just going off of the, the program unknowns. And I think with so many unknowns, I'm just leaning towards the dogs here. I think that I don't have the numbers in front of me from last week 1 or from last week 0 last year, but a lot of the spots I was looking at with favorites, it seemed like the dogs did pretty well. I have to go back and look at that. But I just think with so many unknowns, and we have seen a lot of teams with late coaching changes late in the season struggle early on as well.
Yeah, very good. You bring up a couple of interesting points. First of all, as you mentioned earlier, you say, well, they've got an entirely new defense. They bring back no starters on defense. And I always ask the same question every year. Yeah, but if that defense sucked, is that a bad thing? And I mean, it really is a legitimate question. I mean, if you're bottom 10% in defense and you're bringing in a new crew, what do you got to lose? I don't understand, necessarily why that is always a bad thing if you're replacing starters. And the other thing is you talked about it briefly. Are we done with the COVID kids, guys? Are we done with the 7-year starters? You had that kid from that left-handed quarterback from UTSA, Frank. I can't remember his name, but I think he played like 7 or 8 years for UTSA. Just outrageous. Anybody know? Are we finally done with that?
Nope. There's a 7 or an 8 year. There's people petitioning to have their JUCO records, like Pavia Vanderbilt, where it doesn't count in the overall number as well. So
that's right. That's the kid suing the NCAA, right?
Yeah. So you got some 25 and 26-year-olds in there. But I mean, David makes a great point is people like myself who've handicapped this for decades, we have to think a little differently now because the roster changes are such that the old situations about you return roster stability and so on and so forth can hold up week 1, 2 while the others get their feet wet. Everybody's going through roster upheaval now. So you don't even know, including UNLV. The word I heard is that they're going to play both quarterbacks. this coming Saturday. So I think rosters are in flux because you've got a whole bunch of portal people coming to your program, but you don't really know how good they are.
Right, especially if you're bringing them up from a lesser conference or even a lesser division. If you're bringing somebody up from FCS, or if you're bringing them up, from a smaller school, and you say, well, this guy dominated as a tackle when he was at Howard.
Yeah.
You're like, well, I'm not sure what that means. You don't know if that's going to translate to D1 or not. So, the other thing that nobody's really touched on is the NIL situation. So you've got COVID, you've got the portal, and then you've got a ton of kids being paid. So it is a very different game than it was even 5 years ago in 2020. Would you guys agree?
It is, and I know that his situation's a little different because he played baseball, but Arkansas's got a wide receiver on their team this year that's 30 years old. That's a sophomore. So
he's just a sophomore?
Yeah. Yeah.
Man.
Monte Harrison, he's 30 years old. I used to play baseball, but now he's in college and he's going to be playing for Arkansas, 30 years old. So,
man, I thought it was hard getting my kids out of college. Like, come on, pick a major. Let's go. Come on. All right. Very good. Ron, I know we've got games on a Thursday night. You got a couple there that should be interesting contests. What has your attention later in the week?
There's been a lot of line movement on some of these games, and that's why it pays to kind of work early. I've pretty much had all my plays in a long time ago. So if you're asking me what I think the line, based on the current lines, what I like, that's a little bit of a tougher question. But on Thursday, we're going to find out what Boise is like without Ashton Genty, and we're going to find out if USF can go toe-to-toe with Boise, which I actually think they can. They have some work to do defensively against the veteran Boise quarterback, but that'll be an interesting game. And the intriguing game to me is, are we automatically going to assume that Nebraska has turned on the switch and now they're going to go 9-3? I know it's just Cincinnati, and Cincinnati seems to be putting up decent stats, but they're not putting up wins. Cincinnati's a 5-win team that looks on paper like a 6-win team. But I just think Cincinnati could hang close with Nebraska until we really see that Nebraska is a different team from, remember, they only went something like 6-6 last year. They were thrilled because it was 9 years since they'd last been to a bowl. But growing up, this isn't the Nebraska team that I was used to.
No, I totally agree with that. Let me ask you, what about the is this Thursday night game? No, never mind. You know what? I do want to ask you about it. It's going to be a Saturday game, but I do want to ask you about it. What about the Auburn-Baylor game? Ron, what's your thoughts on that?
Yeah, that's a real intriguing game because both teams interest me in a way. Auburn interests me from a point spread standpoint. I'm separating that from actual wins. I think Hugh Freeze is the kind of coach that he can hang with Alabama. They could beat Alabama this year. It's at Auburn. That game is strange when it comes down to that. They can hang with the Mississippis. There's so many great SEC teams. But can they actually win those games? That's my question. Vegas hung a number of circa stations. I think both places hung a number of 8 wins. And I think we're looking at 8 wins and we're not looking at 9 wins. And Baylor kind of the same way. They had a good stretch and then they petered off a little bit. Then they came back. I like their quarterback. Sawyer Robertson, I think his name is. He stretches the field. It's really unique these days to see a team that actually throws the ball down the field instead of these RPOs and these 6-yard gains that they hope turn into 20-yard games. And I like what Sawyer does with the Baylor offense. So that's a contrasting style. Auburn, a little bit known more for their defense. Baylor with, Jake Spividal there. He was a Cal for a brief period of time, 1 year. Then he moved over to Baylor, jump-started that offense. I really like that game. I lean Baylor, but without conviction.
Okay, very good. Wes, what are you looking at on Thursday?
Well, I'm kind of looking to actually head toward next Saturday, to be honest with you. I was kind of looking at Alabama, Florida State. I don't think that Kalen DeBoer liked Jalen Milroe as a quarterback all that much. I think he kind of did not fit his system. He kind of took off early out of the pocket when, all hell broke loose back there. And they're laying 13.5 here at FSU. And I just kind of think that Kalen DeBoer, he needs to get back on track. Obviously, it was kind of a disappointing season last year. But I think they do well. I think Ty Simpson, he's going to be a really good quarterback. I think he fits DeBoer's system a lot more than Jalen Milroe did. So I'm kind of looking at Alabama to do well there at Florida State. I know they're on the road, but I would probably lean that direction. Regarding also Ohio State and Texas, so obviously Texas, they have some revenge from getting knocked out last year. Why is this game at noon Eastern and not in the evening? That's question number one.
Take a drink.
Yeah. I think Texas can do well here. I think Arch Manning is going to have a pretty good year. Maybe Ohio State has a little bit of a national championship hangover. Maybe that happens. Maybe it doesn't. But, I've heard it's a thing every now and then. So I'd probably look at Texas in that matchup on Saturday morning.
I am offended that you didn't have more confidence in my abilities as a host to not think I was going to get to that game, buddy. Okay. All right. Wes is prematurely evaluated there. Premature evaluation. Tom, what are you looking at on Thursday? And Thursday only.
Yeah, I'm the same with Ron. I like South Florida. Not really loving the number now. When it was, I think it opened up around 10. So yeah. Double digits on like 6s. We're getting through key numbers, and I don't know that you want to mess with it. Another one I liked was Buffalo. They're actually in Minnesota. I just think Minnesota is an overrated team this year. I think Buffalo's going to they're going to fight for a MAC title here, and I think they're going to keep within the number in Minnesota.
I haven't broken down the MAC. Has Buffalo gotten a lot better? Because that was an awful football team last year.
Yes, they were.
Have they got an infusion of talent or a new coach or traded helmets with the Bills? Why are you high on Buffalo here? I got to ask.
I think the talent I just think they have good talent. I'm not worried about their coaching. Okay. I just think their talent's better. I think their defense is going to be stronger. I think their run game's good.
All right. Solid. Dave, what are you looking at on Thursday? Anything?
I think they got one of your guys from Kansas State transferred in to play quarterback here at Buffalo. But I like Buffalo too. I mean, they were very inconsistent. I didn't know if they were one of those teams last season that some weeks they actually looked pretty good, and then other times, depending when you tuned in, they looked awful. So they were inconsistent. But I agree with Tom. I do like Buffalo getting the points there. I do disagree with when it comes to Boise State, all this time to prepare. I know Genty's gone, but I think I'm not too super high on South Florida, even though they have the home field. I like Boise State minus the 6.5 in that one. I'm leaning toward East Carolina against North Carolina State. That's always a tough one. This is always a really, really big game for East Carolina. And one that I'm sure is not on anybody's radar. I don't have the point spread on it yet, but I'm interested. Now, this is not this is going to be an FCS game. Well, it's actually half FBS, half FCS because Delaware is actually in Conference USA now. But Delaware versus Delaware State. I know Delaware State's been terrible. Thinking about laying the points of Delaware, depending how large it is. I'm interested in seeing Deshaun Jackson. Really talented, but I'm curious to see what type of head coach Deshaun Jackson is going to be at Delaware State. And I know that spread will probably be big. I know it's a game off the radar. You can check it out on ESPN Plus, but I'm interested in checking that one out. And I think that I'm expecting Delaware to lay the wood on that one. So that's one that I'm looking at as well.
I didn't even know they had room for 2 stadiums in Delaware.
They're pretty nice too, actually.
Are they really?
Yeah. Deshaun Jackson's supposed to be he's supposed to be a good coach. He's getting this team into shape. If you're listening to all the local stuff.
Okay. All right. Very good. Well, that brings us to you, Tom. What are you looking at on Thursday?
I already told you.
Okay.
Yeah, we did that already.
There's a lot of you guys. I don't know, man. All right, so let's. Wes kind of popped the seal, but let's go ahead and talk about that Texas game on Saturday. That's obviously a gigantic game, and for the record, Wes, I make fun of you, but I completely agree. It's certainly the biggest college football game of the weekend, and maybe the biggest game of the month. I don't understand why we have that at 11 o'clock in the morning Central Time, noon on Eastern Time, and for those of you on the West Coast out there in Vegas, 10 o'clock. So, or no, 9 o'clock, right?
Yeah, 9. Yeah, 9 a.m.
So yeah, enjoy getting up for that. It makes no sense to me, but Ron, what do you think, and what are your thoughts on that gigantic game, the game of the century, at least until week 2? Ohio State is laying 2 there as Texas and Arch Manning come to town.
Yeah, it's the game of the week, game of the month, but as far as the playoff consideration, it may not have as much meaning, but it's a nice one to talk about. What I like about Texas is that Steve Sarkisian, he could scheme Arch Manning into situations where low pressure situations, a lot of bubble screens, a lot of different things that he could run. He's very creative offensively. So, and you got Matt Patricia on the other side instead of Jim Knowles. And that just bugs me a little bit because I think that's a drop. I'm not a Matt Patricia fan, especially right out of the gate. A lot of the Ohio State seniors came back to try to finish the deal last year. Now they're gone. I think that's edged Texas. So barring, some sort of natural high from Ohio State from winning the title and getting to run out on their own field and say, hey, we're the champs and stuff like that, I think there'll be some motivation that way. But there's a lot of new faces for Ohio State. So I would definitely lean Texas in this one.
All right, very good. Tom, what are your thoughts on that one?
Yeah, anytime you see a new offensive coordinator, you're going to think that the offense is going to start slow. I like the dog here. Texas is the number 1 team preseason. I don't know that they're going to win. I kind of think they are going to win. But if not, I think they keep it close enough. It's going to be a tight game all the way through. And last year, Ohio State wasn't really quick out of the gates. Texas, on the other hand, looked like one of the best teams in the country after 3-4 weeks. I think this Texas team is going to be ready to go. I think this is a huge game for them as well as it is Ohio State. I don't think they've ever been number 1 in the preseason poll, so I think that's another badge of honor there too.
All right, very good. And we're starting to see some Buckeye money come in. We're starting to see 2.5 start to pop up there. So it looks like there's a lot of players that don't really agree with the Texas assessment. Dave, what are you thinking about that game?
All right, a few different things with this one. So, sometimes when you see as far as the money coming in, I mean, you've got a team. I mean, you got the defending national champs. So, I mean, money's going to come in. You know what I mean, on a big game. And I mean, I'll say this as somebody who interesting one to me. I mean, I've briefly lived in Columbus, somebody from Ohio, born and raised, now living in Texas. And it's kind of one of those things. I know people like to dump on Ohio a lot as far as what's in Ohio. So it's like one of those games, like personally, and I don't really like to get involved with this with handicapping, like the fan of me, I want to see Ohio State win this game, but taking just the throwing that aside, I think Texas has to be the play here. I know Wes talked about a championship hangover, but I don't really know if there needs to be a championship hangover because Texas is really good and Ohio State's breaking in a new quarterback. This is a tough situation. I mean, you've seen Ohio State over the past few years. They struggled early in the season. Usually you're playing teams, you're playing somebody like Akron, you can struggle and kind of ease the quarterback in. Now, I mean, you're starting off with Texas. Last season, Ohio State didn't play. I mean, lost to Oregon, didn't play really anybody the first 5 weeks of the season. I mean, but definitely not the first 3 weeks of the season. So despite the home field, I think Texas is the play here, to be honest with you. I definitely think it's Texas.
All right. Ron, Arch Manning, worth the hype?
Boy, we're putting a lot on these kids at an early age. Maybe they can take it. I know when I was growing up, we just hung around. We did things. There wasn't social media. There wasn't all this other stuff. I think you're going to have 2 years to worry about that, because I think Arch Manning, like his uncles, like school, and they like that, and they like growing up in that environment. They don't have to be professionals right away. So this probably is the first of maybe 28 games that he's going to play, maybe 30 games with all the playoffs that he's going to play in these next 2 years. Is he worth the hype? Yeah, he looks like a natural. He even looks like he has some of Archie's legs and not Peyton's legs and Eli's legs in terms of running the ball. So I'm rooting for the kid for sure. I just don't think we need to dump on him so early. Like, let's say Ohio State beats them and he doesn't look good week 1 out of the gate. Let's not close the book on him just yet in terms of where he belongs.
Yeah, we are definitely in an immediate gratification type society right now, where no matter if you lose one game or you have one subpar game, you're the worst thing that's ever happened. You're the terrible quarterback. There's no hope for you. And you're right about that. They don't, and this is like you said, they don't give them any time to stretch out. There's no cupcake to start the season. I know it's good for TV.
Yeah,
but I don't know it's necessarily good for the development of these young players. All right.
Do you guys think that Arch Manning comes out after this year, regardless of how he does this year?
No, Ron just
I think he's going to
told
stay.
you.
Yeah, I think
the whole family, they finish college. Ron just told you why. They like the school.
And now they're getting paid. I mean, he's making big money at Texas, and he doesn't need the money. I mean,
I was going to say, that's another thing.
When he played last season, he looked sharp. So you have to think that the guy's going to be what they say he's going to be.
Right. Yeah.
I've been impressed with him.
Yeah, it'll be fun to watch him play as they give the keys to him. Ron, before we get out of here, let's talk about any other games that have your attention here during week 1 or during the week, Thursday, Friday night. What else you looking at? Anything?
Well, let's go all the way till, I think it's a Sunday game, isn't it? Notre Dame, Miami of Florida, or is that a Saturday night game?
I think that's Sunday.
Yeah, I think that's a Sunday.
Yeah,
Sunday night game.
Yeah,
Yep.
Yeah. I mean, we look at this every single year. Miami of Florida, come November, they're going to make the playoffs. They're in the top 10. Then they don't take a knee or they do something stupid against Georgia Tech. And then with the chance to get into the ACC title game, they lay an egg and lose 42-38 or whatever the score was, and they forget how to play defense. But early in the year, they do know how to play. And I just have the feeling that there's too many missing parts from Notre Dame in this game. Miami is a disrespected, at least if I were the coach, I would say, you're a home dog. You're disrespected. Go out and show the nation that you belong in this conversation. I think Miami's talent is definitely high ACC caliber and at least equal to Notre Dame coming into the season. We're hoping that if you're a Miami fan for this game, is Carson Beck 100% healthy? We think he is, but we don't know until he actually gets on the field. And Notre Dame's going to field a very good defense. They always do. I like their coaching staff. But I think they're missing just too many parts week 1 of the season. And I like Miami in this game.
All right. Very good. Wes, what else are you looking at?
Well, I was looking a little bit at Utah, at UCLA. And by the way, now that DJ Uiagalelei is out of college football.
Nicely done. Nicely done.
In the NFL. Now that he is in the NFL, the hardest name to pronounce in all of college football has to be Nico Iamaleava. I think I screwed that up still. I'm just going to call him Nico. It's a lot easier. But it's just kind of funny because, he got in that fight with Tennessee over money. And then he goes to UCLA, maybe for some more money, but he went to the highest tax bracket in the entire country. He might even be making less money at UCLA now. But The Bruins, they rank 111th in returning production. They got Javian Thomas from Cal, a new running back. I think they're going to do well from all I hear. I hear Nico's doing very well in practice, and he looks very sharp. Obviously, Cam Rising, he kept getting hurt for the Utes, but they do have they got Devin Dampier from New Mexico. They also brought in his offensive coordinator, Jason Beck, over from New Mexico, too. So he's playing in the same offense. By the way, my roommate is personal friends with Devin Dampier. So if I ever have any inside information, I'll make sure to pass that along to you guys. But he's a dual threat quarterback. He's a really good quarterback. But I think UCLA can hang tough. It's a home game. I think Nico's going to bring some energy to that squad, and I think UCLA can hang tough here.
All right, very good. Tommy, you got anything else you're looking at? I know you do.
Yeah, not no more football, but I'll go. NASCAR regular season ends this weekend. We're at Daytona. There are 2 spots left to get into playoffs. What I'm doing is I'm looking for guys who are not in the playoffs who need to win here. Good long shot prices. I'm going to split a unit between 4 or 5 guys. Hope to catch something nice. We also have the FedEx Cup ends this weekend. We are at East Lake Course, right outside of Atlanta, Georgia. Pretty much winner take all here. Scotty Scheffler is going to win the FedEx Cup. We like him to win the tournament too. Not a price you want to bet. He's plus 150 to win this.
Yeah.
There's only 30 people in the field, so
okay.
If you can find a boost, you can put something on him. Other guys I like Russell Henley to win this. Ben Griffin's another one, a young guy nobody talks about. He's had a great season. You can take him placement, maybe a top 10. His prices are great. I think he's going to have a weekend. So, yeah, look for those guys.
All right, very good. Mr. Delano, what else you looking at?
Well, I know I said I like a lot of looking at some of the dogs early, but one of the favorites, it seemed a little square, but just saw minus 13.5 for Alabama against Florida State. I understand Florida State is at home. Had a terrible season. They made a lot of changes again, and we'll see how those pieces are going to fit. But I'm a little optimistic on Alabama this season. I think they're underrated as far as the way an Alabama team can be underrated. I like Ty Simpson. I like DeBoer now with a year under his belt, and I'm not sold on Florida State and the fact that still first game of the season. Both teams are going to have a lot to prove. I think that Alabama wants to prove that they're a contender. I think that I don't have a problem laying the 2 touchdowns. So I do like Alabama to cover the 13.5 against Florida State.
Okay. Yeah, there's definitely a blowout potential for that game. I'm right with David. I think the exact same thing. I think DeBoer is gonna. I think he's on a mission. Nobody's talking about him. This whole Alabama team. I just think they're highly valued, but I still think for some reason Alabama is undervalued this season.
Yeah,
and in that very first thing, I just think they could blow this Florida State team out.
Yeah.
All right.
One other one, this might seem really random. I don't know about as far as playing a lot of totals and overs early, but USC, just for me, these last 3 years, they've definitely been a cash cow with overs. 59.5, they're playing Missouri State, they're in Conference USA this year, making the step up. And you got to wonder, USC is a 35-point favorite. But one thing about Missouri State, at least last season, they did put up a lot of points. And if you think that USC is going to cover, they still give up a lot of points. Can Missouri State maybe get 17 in that game? I know it's a little bit of a maybe degenerate off the radar game, but I'm thinking about pulling the trigger on it over 59.5 in this USC Missouri State game. I do think that as it gets closer, I wouldn't be surprised if it ends up in the 60s. I don't know if anybody's been looking at that. I know that's your your old place over there in California, West.
Yeah.
Okay. One other game, and then we'll get out of here. It's LSU and Clemson, and we'll probably talk about that more on next week's show because it's going to be the Saturday game on the 30th. But Ron, early thoughts on that?
Yeah, this is another blockbuster game. I watch all the media day events because I want to hear the coaches. I want to see a command presence from the quarterbacks or the coaches and so on. And I thought Brian Kelly said all the right things there. He understands they haven't been ready week one. He's taking steps to make that better. He wants to get this done. But Clemson, talking about one team that hasn't used the portal very much. This is a team, they grow their own. They don't lose a lot of players. They don't get a lot of players. They have returning stability in all three phases of the game. I think it's another case where you have two really good teams that may come back and be in the 12-team playoff at the end. I don't have an opinion on the spread in the game. I just think you're looking at two of the best teams in college football.
All right, very good. Wes, how you feeling about that one?
Yeah, a lot of hype around Nussmeier. I know he's maybe a top 5 Heisman favorite. Yeah, I kind of agree. I don't really have a lean on the side, to be honest with you. I do know who the better coach is in this game by far. Give me Dabo Swinney over Brian Kelly any day. We were joking about that on the show last week about his Southern accent that he all of a sudden acquired when he went down to LSU.
Right.
But yeah, I don't know. I just for coaching purposes, I'd probably lean Clemson if I had to lean. But I haven't, to be honest, I haven't really made a deep dive into this game yet.
That's fair. Dave, got a thought on it?
Yeah, I think that this one's interesting. I mean, I'm leaning Clemson, but it's 4 points. I don't know if I want to, because I definitely agree with Ron said these could be two of the best teams in the country. I think that the consistency with LSU, it makes you wonder. I mean, I think Brian Kelly, throughout his career, winning at Central Michigan and Cincinnati and Notre Dame. I mean, I think he's a good coach, but I'm not sure that this is the best fit for him now. And obviously the way college football is changing, where you've got that stability with Dabo Swinney and Clemson. So I like Clemson, but I don't know if a game like this, if I want to lay the 4 points this early on in the season. But if I did, I do like Clemson, but I could see this maybe being a 3-point game. So we'll see what happens.
All right. And finally, Tommy, has LSU fixed that defense yet?
They actually may have. I like LSU's talent. I'm not big on Brian Kelly. I think he's going to blow this game. I'm actually high on Clemson this whole season. I think they're going to run through the ACC. I think they get at least Final Four in the playoffs. I think this Clemson team is going to be really good. I don't mind giving a 4. I just think LSU is going to find a way to blow it. But I think LSU is a very talented team. I think they're going to have a good season. I just don't think they're good enough.
Okay, very good. All right, guys, as always, thanks very much for joining us. Ron, special thanks to you. Appreciate you making time to stop by and give us your thoughts on some of these big college football games that are starting off this season. Where can folks find you?
First of all, thanks for having me. Enjoyed the conversation. You guys have a great year. I'm not producing any written content thus far that I had sites before, but I'll be on podcast. Las Vegas Chris and I will be doing something maybe even next week, previewing the NFL a little bit and making some guest appearances here and there. Looking forward to the season. Find me on Twitter, follow me, and you'll see where I'm at.
All right, and that's Ron A. Sports on Twitter?
Correct.
All right, very good. Wes, where can people find you?
Well, you can find me at Circa tomorrow if you want to come down and say hi in person. I will be there with Kiev O'Neill, who Ron knows very well, and actually Las Vegas Chris said he's going to be there. A bunch of sharps are actually coming in town and for contest week, right? So looking forward to meeting a lot of those guys face-to-face. And I am on Twitter at the Sniper Picks. You can check out what we got going on over there. And obviously hitthepick.com for all your sharp sports betting information.
There you go. Wes, are you starting a proxy service?
Well, I mean, that wasn't in my plans, but now I don't have to use the proxy anymore that I'm here, which actually, you know, what's funny? I found out with Circa, you actually, if you live in Nevada, you can just place if you're in the Survivor or whatever, you can place them online. You actually don't have to go to the counter to place them, which is cool. I don't have to leave to, come do a Circa Survivor.
Very
As long as,
good.
as long as you're in Nevada, you can be on your computer and you can place your Circuit Survivor bets.
That's very human of it.
But you could do really well setting up a service though too.
Yeah, I haven't even thought of that, to be honest with you.
Yeah, TikTok, buddy. Let's go. Yeah, maybe next year. Hey, Tom, where can we find you?
Yep, Ryan Cable on social media. Hitthepick.com. Yeah, I'm throwing out free plays all the time, everywhere. Yeah, we're about to get started. It's going to get hot.
He's giving out free plays like that one house on Halloween that gives out full-size Snickers, everybody. You want to
That's right.
some of those. And finally, Mr. Delano, where can we find you?
Yeah, hitthepick.com. You can follow me on X and Instagram at Get Sports Strong. I have a lot of written content, a lot of video content on a lot of different places. So I'll be posting it there. And if anybody has any tips on any little leaguers who've been staying up too late playing Roblox, send me a DM. No.
It's all about information, baby. It's all about that information. So, all right, guys. Thanks again for Ron for stopping by. And we do this every single week, Wednesday evening, 6 p.m. Eastern, 5 p.m. Central on the Hit the Pick Founder Show. Don't forget to stop by and check out hitthepick.com, all your handicapping needs. Let's have a great football season. You guys all have a great football season, and we'll do this again next week. All right? You guys take care, and we'll see you then.
Let's cash some tickets.